Welcome to 5 minutes on adverbs. Now, adverbs tell you basically three things. They tell you where, they tell you when, and they tell you how something happens. And they can do a couple of other things, so they can tell you how much, the intensity of something, and they can tell you how often things happen. But when, where, and how are generally the ones we tend to look at. Let's try an example here. So, I put the pen there. And if we just think about what the function of there is there, what do you think it is? Well, it tells you where I put the pen. Simple enough. Today I sang a song. So what does today do in this context? Well, today is telling you when. When did I sing the song? Then we have the third type, and probably this is, I guess, the most famous of the lot. I sang a song enthusiastically. Why are we interested in that? Well, that's telling us how. That's telling us how the song was sung. And then one more, which we shouldn't ignore. This is a one that often is overlooked. She sang very sweetly. Now, in this, the adverb that we want to look at anyway is very. I'll come to sweetly a bit later on. What does very do? Well, it tells you how sweetly the song was sung. Let's think about what they are then. So the first one there is telling you where, and we call that an adverb of place. So adverbs of place tell you where something goes on. Adverbs of time is the next one, and that tells you when something happens. Then we have adverbs of manner. As I say, that's the most notable one probably for most people, and that tells you how something happens or takes place. And then we have this one here. This is a funny one. We call this an adverb of degree. Sometimes it's called an intensifier, and they tell you how much effectively. They tell you the intensity of something. And they can be a bit tricky. So let's just look at one more sentence here. They were a very, suitable couple. They were a very suitable couple. Now, where's the adverb of degree going on in these sentences? Well, very, we established earlier on, was an adverb. And in that first sentence of this pair, it is modifying the adverb sweetly. But what about this one here? The adverb is actually modifying an adjective. Very perplexing. Well, it's just a sort of oddity with adverbs, I suppose. They generally modify verbs, but just occasionally they can modify adjectives and give that sense of kind of extra, that sense of something kind of being more intensified. Let's look at a couple of texts. Read these texts in your own time and then have a look back at this video. Now, here we have this sentence, fags are smoked moodily. And it's referring to teenagers here. That's obviously an adverb of manner. Why is it being used? Well, we should think first of all about the position, which we sometimes call syntax. It's positioned at the end. And you could say it adds humour for probably an older audience, people who would read The Independent, who can look in a slightly sarcastic fashion at teenagers. Sorry about that. And then, of course, punchlines always come at the end, so the funny bits at the end. When we look at this text, this is the first direct bank account terms and conditions text. And what I've highlighted here are two adverbs, and you can probably work out which ones they are. I'll tell you in a second. And what the first one do is a very important bedtime reading is accentuating the importance of terms and conditions, primary purpose of the text. And the second one is making the bank look like they really care. We've tried really hard, we've worked really hard. Well, of course, these are both adverbs of degree, but doing slightly different things. A nice little pattern that you could talk about. There is another adverb, there's probably more than one. This one, carefully here. Well, that's also actually accentuating the importance of the terms and conditions because you've got to read it carefully. But this one is an adverb of manner. Okay, there we are. Adverbs. Done.